Hi, everybody. This is Sit Down. I'm DJ Sixsmith. Billions is coming back on Sunday.
Yes.
Gotta get Dollar Bill in the house, Kelly O'Coin.
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
It's really good to have you here, and
Yeah.
it's a really great time for you because you've done a lot of different projects in your career, but
Yeah.
here's a show in Billions where you now have a significant part going to season 4,
Right.
and it's somebody that really has struck a chord with people. So, what's it been like building this character out, and when did it finally hit and you realize, like, wow, this is a great show and this character is really something?
I think I mean, it hit me how good the show was from the get-go. Like I remember looking at that first script, the pilot script, and reading and hearing about who was involved with it from the top, and just being like, oh, this is something I want to be a part of.
And the writing is fantastic.
It's second to none. And like you're asking like how did the character sort of develop? I mean, it's all on the page.
Yeah.
You just have to do what they say, and you're like, oh, I know this guy. You know, I can tap into. I don't actually know this guy. I know no one from the finance world really, but they give you all the clues. I think I started walking and sitting differently because of the way they write this character. My wife was like, you're man-spreading a lot more than you used to, you know? Like
you're the character.
Yeah,
Don't
she's
worry.
like, you're strutting as you walk down the street. Like your legs when you stand are like 10 feet apart.
That's a big part of that character.
It is that physicality, but it just came naturally because like what he says and how he behaves, and you got all the clues from the writing.
Yeah.
It's great.
He's so outlandish and over the top. So who did you draw from in your life, or how do you prepare for that role?
I didn't really draw from anyone in particular. It was really, again, it's about the writing and interacting with the other actors. In some ways, you can, you get a lot of information on how people are treating you. It's like, oh, that's a good clue. That works. Or if there's a certain type of energy that an actor is bringing, and it's a very much an ensemble-based show. You sort of fill in the energy maybe in a way that benefits the rest of the group because that energy hasn't been offered by anybody else yet,
Right.
that kind of thing. But yeah, mainly it's just, again, it's just the writing.
Yeah, and just the craziness of the scenes, whether it's taking the minivan and crashing into the car, the Spiro stuff. I mean, even season 1, just standing up to the government.
You're right, yeah. That was a blast doing that. That's the only scene I've ever done with Paul. And then the fake fight with Damien when he came back, it was just like it was nice. I think maybe that was when I knew that they had some interesting plans.
Or the funding of baseball players.
The funding of baseball players. That was such a great. And then he also runs a chain of dry cleaners.
He's got 2 families.
Yeah.
2 videos.
Yeah. What?
Lots of
Doesn't everybody?
So, how did you hear about the show, and what do you remember about the audition process?
I heard about the show through a casting director. There was a different casting director, A.V. Kaufman, for the pilot, and Allison Estrin has been casting ever since. So I was called in. I auditioned for one role initially, and didn't get that, but they called me back for this character called Dollar Bill. And I remember this would have been such a huge mistake. I initially said, I don't want to do that, because it didn't even say potential recur. It just was like, it was a one-off, maybe 2 lines. But then over the weekend, I thought about it some more, and it was like, he's called Dollar Bill, and he's the cheapest millionaire in America. Like, they've been thinking about, there's something to this guy. It sounds like fun. And then also, Damien and Paul and Maggie are involved, and these are the guys that did Rounders and Ocean's 13, and it's like, I want to be a part of that. So I called, and I was like, I told my agent to find out if it was too late, and they were like, no, come on in today.
Good thing you said yes.
Would have been the worst
Life
career
changer.
move of my life.
That would have been number 1 on regrets.
Yeah, so it was great, and I didn't do a ton early on, but even the stuff, even in those small little sections, it was a blast.
Very impactful scenes,
Well, yeah, and it was just so much fun to play, and the group gets along so well.
Right.
It was just we started building this family from day one.
Yeah,
so,
definitely. And you mentioned Ocean's 13. It's very Ocean's 13-esque because you have like a week before or 2 days before. And It's really fun to see that build out. Yeah, the timeline shifts and everything, and there's some episodes that play like flat out heist movies. It's great. It's great, and it is. I do mean that when I say. That it's become like a little family. Everyone gets along. I had texts this morning saying, have fun on the interviews, and for a show that's so much about, toxic masculinity and revenge and power and domination, it's amazing how
sweet everybody is. Right?
Yeah, there's many different levels to it. And your experience on this show, it's not the norm in the industry. And I think people are surprised by it because they just think it's a family atmosphere. But I'm sure for you, there's been a lot of situations where this person is doing their own thing, I'm just here to do my part, and that's the way it goes.
Yeah, and that's a good point. It's not, the norm is not that everyone's a raging a-hole. It's the norm is more like, oh, we come to work, and then we go back. Oh, it's nice, everything's pleasant.
Cool, yeah,
but,
exactly.
To have a group of people who are so tight with each other it's really lovely.
Definitely, and you had to go through some physical pain as well for season 4. You broke your ribs.
Broke my rib.
Dude, what happened?
I sacrificed my body for my art.
I love it.
I can't say.
But you legit broke your ribs and did not anticipate that happening.
No, that was not in the plan. Not in the plan that
you,
particular
Damian
day.
Lewis, I mean, you guys are playing hurt just for the beauty of the art.
Yeah, he hurt his knee, and that happened in the same week. But yes, no, I can't talk about why.
I got you. We'll have to wait and see for that one.
Yeah.
So why don't we wind it back now?
Sure.
You grew up in Portland, spent some time in the D.C. area, big Trailblazers fan. So take me back to Kelly as a kid and your interests and how the acting bug kind of got to you.
My mom was a singer, and my dad was a congressman. He was in politics. And so I think I grew up seeing them on display. They both knew how to work crowds. They both seemed to take energy from crowds. And that was interesting to note. And then as a child of a politician, you are often in front of crowds yourself. So from an early age,
those crowds.
Yeah, and I became comfortable that way. And then as I grew up, I joined the school chorus groups, and early on it was from those groups that they cast the plays, and there were, I think the first few years I was doing that, there were only 2 boys in the chorus, so I always got the good parts.
Yep, there you go.
And I was like, hey, I like this. And I remember the first time I did something kind of off script, or I did something just a little different than the time before, and the audience laughed, and they were laughing at something that I did, not just the script. I was like, oh, I like this.
This is cool. How old were you at that point?
I think I was in 6th grade. And I didn't tell anybody I wanted to act until much later. And it was actually my high school biology teacher, who was very into theater, who first told me, yeah, I think you can make it.
And especially as a guy in high school, it's not something that you're running out and saying, like, I want to do theater, I want to be an actor. You know?
Well, we did in high school. I mean, our school was very arts-oriented.
Cool.
So Georgetown Day School in Washington, D.C., and Laura Rosberg is still, again, shout out to Laura, is still the head of the department, and she really turned that into something quite elaborate and amazing. And Bill George was my botany teacher sophomore year.
Interesting.
And he directed a lot of plays, and yeah.
That's cool. So how do you go from doing it in high school to saying, I want to do this as a career?
That was a good question. It took me a long damn time to figure that out.
What were you doing in between?
I went to Oberlin and did act, but I didn't have a lot of business training, like how to go about doing the business of it. The smartest thing I did, I had a Volkswagen bus, and I drove around the country sleeping in the back of my bus for the better part, like maybe 6 months or something like that. And I was dropping off headshots and resumes at theaters around the country, supposedly. And then I ran out of money in Portland, which was fortunately my original hometown. Right. Stayed at my parents' apartment. I worked in a steel mill for a month to get money to come back. And during that month, I auditioned for a play and got in. And then I got into another play out there. Then from there, I went down to the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. So that's what sort of launched me. And in terms of TV, when I moved to New York, I was mainly doing theater.
Right, you did Broadway for a little bit?
I did, yeah. I did Julius Caesar with
Denzel
Washington, which was great.
Really a great experience.
I've been flying around celebrities ever since, because once you, like, if you're in the same room and you're talking and acting with Denzel Washington, it's like,
you can talk about it with anybody else.
Like, I'm fine with it. He's amazing, by the way.
Yeah, what do you remember about that experience with him?
Just the star power, the sheer star power. And he was great. My little scene was me being a snotty little brat to him, and it was fun because I think I annoyed him a few times. It was like, I annoyed Denzel. Check, yeah. But he was great. He was such a great team player, and but carried that show. But yeah, the great thing about New York, obviously there's world-class theater here, but in the past 15, 20 years, there have been so many great TV shows shooting here. So a lot of us who made the choice to basically do theater are getting the opportunity to do some of these TV shows as well. It used to be that you had to go to LA for a screen and you stayed here for theater, and now you can do both.
Yeah, it's nice that you don't have to be confined to Los Angeles. Even like all the filming going on in Georgia now. Like
Atlanta's like, it's crazy. I got a friend who's just went down there to do a show, her first series regular thing. And Vancouver.
That's always been a good spot too.
And outside of Austin. But it's nice, and there are also a lot of playwrights who are on the writing staffs in the writers' rooms of these shows, and so sometimes you're on a show, and like when I did The Americans, Tanya Barfield, who's a wonderful playwright, I did a play called The Call with, was on the staff for a season or two, and you know, it'd be like, hey, look at us.
We've done this before, and especially people from the theater world, like you got the reps on the stage, like they obviously really have to focus on the writing, and to be able to convert that to TV, like that's just a great skill set to have, regardless of what show you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's true, and it can be challenging for both actors and for writers and directors, I'm sure too. That's like how to focus what is an innate talent on the and sort of skew it to whatever the medium is that you're working in.
So you mentioned the fact that you've just been around a lot of stars during your career. I mean, you know, you're hopping into House of Cards, and you know, you're working with Spielberg. I mean, like, you know, just let's talk about Spielberg for a second, because you know, we have people who've worked with Scorsese and Spielberg. And I'm always interested. What are like the little intricate details you pick up from that work experience?
I did 3 days on the Post with Spielberg. I didn't have a lot to do, but. I was so, I was taken with how prepared he was and how calm he was. I don't remember him working with storyboards. He just knew exactly what he wanted. He's such a visual, he seems like such a visual person. We never went over 12 hours, which is kind of unheard of. Even when things were going wrong, just this calm. He just is calm, and he came up. He's so nice. He came up and introduced himself to everybody. And my first day, he was like, "Hi, I'm Steven." And I'm like, "I know, I know."
Like, I've seen a few of your movies in the past.
Yeah, I've seen one or two. I've heard of you. Yeah, I think you got something, kid.
He's like that NBA champ who's just been through the ringer. You know.
Yeah, I mean nothing to prove. But I also like to think that he's inherently like that. There's a great environment. Everyone on the crew was great. It just top notch,
and also you did House of Cards.
Yes, and it was interesting for me on that show because there's so many brilliant actors that have been on that show at one time or another. The only person I worked with was Michael Kelly, who is also brilliant and also very nice. There's an interesting little sidebar about him too, but. And then Robin Wright directed one of the episodes.
Oh, that's cool.
I never got to act with her, but she got to tell me what to do, and then I did it.
And what was the side story about Michael?
When I got the weekend that I was talking about, where I was trying to decide about Billions, I mentioned it to him. I was back down in Baltimore to shoot part of it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's the Billions thing. Sounds interesting to me." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, but it's not even." He's like, "Yeah, but it sounds interesting." And I was like, "Yeah, well, they did name him. It's a funny name, and they did say this." He's like, "Yeah, I think that's got some legs."
That's a good friend right there.
Yeah, it's a really good friend. That's a good brother. Yeah, since played my brother. And I need to make sure I was already shifting that way, but I need to make sure that he knows that.
Yeah, give him his props. Give him his due right there.
Michael, my brother.
How about Wizard of Lies with De Niro? I mean, that must have been pretty fascinating.
That was off the hook. Handcuffed.
People haven't seen that, by the way. It's excellent.
It's a really good movie. Yeah, and Barry Levinson's fantastic director. He's up there with the Scorsese and Spielbergs. But I handcuffed Robert frickin' De Niro. I handcuffed Travis Bickle, and he didn't kill me.
It's incredible.
And it was I couldn't quite get, like, he had a bunch of big coats on and everything, and I couldn't quite get his arms together and raise the sleeves so I could handcuff him. So I never actually was able to successfully do it.
Really?
And there was a props guy and I guess a stunt guy who also knew how to do this stuff. And he kept coming up to me and being like, "No, look, you just do. Come on, we got to do this. I got to make it."
Yeah, I know. It's just look who I'm trying to handcuff.
I know. I literally can't get to his wrists, and so we had to fake it. And there was one time when De Niro is like behind, he's like this, and he's like, "You got it there?"
You're like, I sure as heck hope so.
Oh my God, Travis Bickle's going to kill me. But we never actually got them closed, and I had to sort of fake it. And
well, you made it look real.
Yeah, thanks.
It's a tough thing to do, given the circumstances.
The last thing he told me was like, don't ever arrest anybody.
You're like, I'll try that.
I don't think it's for you. By the way, that was the worst De Niro I've ever seen.
It's okay. I mean, you handcuffed him. We'll take it.
That's right. Yeah.
You're good. All right, let's talk some hoops. So, you're a big Blazers fan.
Blazers!
Blazers had a rough go of it in the postseath last year, but we were talking before off camera.
It's out of mind.
Anthony Davis not in the playoffs this year.
Not familiar with that name.
So. Give me your prediction on how far you think Portland can go this year.
We can't. I mean, we have the depth now, I would say we could go. It's not out of the realm of possibility to go to the Western Conference Finals. I'm going to predict at least a first-round victory.
Even if you play Houston in the first round?
Oh, yeah.
Not afraid of James Harden?
No, please.
The West is stacked.
The West is so stacked.
It's crazy.
It is nuts.
Like 1 through 6, because like San Antonio, Utah could be interesting.
Utah could be really interesting.
The Clippers have had a really surprising season.
Yeah, we just had a tough time with them until the fourth quarter. I don't know if you're familiar.
Yes. Yeah, I saw that game.
Just a little 20-point victory.
No biggie, no biggie. But yeah, Portland's been one of those teams just consistently good the last couple of years. But just waiting for that next ring. It seems like Dame has really taken the next step this year.
I mean, he's been so good for so long now. It's amazing. He was first-team All-NBA last year, and he's arguably having a better season this year. And CJ is just off the charts. He's like...
It's a good 1-2 punch.
Do you remember the bad boy Pistons?
Yeah.
Remember Vinnie Johnson, the microwave?
Yep.
Like, CJ is that instant offense. He can just... He's unstoppable. He's got some of the best handles I've ever seen.
And he can go for 30 just like that.
Like that. Yeah, it's crazy. But Nurk is having a great season. Picking up Cantor and Hood was solid. Jake Layman. And great. Mo Harkless is finally healthy. Seth Curry, another like a microwave guy.
Yep.
It's a really exciting team. And I really hope we're in 5th now. I really hope we can get home court. But and I never try to predict anymore. Last year, I was put on the spot on a few shows, and I was like, who do you want them to play? And I was like, New Orleans.
Well, I mean, at the time, it was a smart move. It's like Boogie's gone. It's just Anthony Davis. And then, like, Drew Holiday has a crazy postseason series.
He's good. Yeah. He is so good. But, yeah, it's like there's no one you can take lightly. Utah could easily go to the Western Conference Finals.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, what if Gobert takes it up even another notch?
Right.
You know, it's nuts.
Yeah, it most certainly is.
But it's a fun season for that reason.
Totally. And, like, for you as a sports fan, there's so many sports references and billions. So it's just, and Koppelman's a big sports guy, too. Yeah. So, like, anytime, like, just like the whole Rudy scene, like, anytime.
How great was that?
It was awesome.
Yeah, and I loved Soder doing the actual play-by-play. Little kid named Rudy Rudiger.
But it's spot on. It's almost like the jokes, each hit like a specific niche. There's like a really like historical, intellectual group of people. And you have your sports fan, your cultural references, and it just really makes you think. And
poker,
it just all
wrestling.
Intertwined.
It's all intertwined. Yeah.
The poker episode was just perfect. And like you knew it was going to be because the guys did rounders, but like it all worked out so perfectly.
That was so good. I had one moment in that one of my favorite moments ever is Dollar Bill. Just like no words. Can I? How clean do we have to be on this show?
You want to flip me off?
No, it was just like literally in the whole scene. I was just sitting over there scowling, and then he said something to me, and I'm just like. That was it, and I was like, I can die now. Very happy.
But yeah, it's just like,
and that's a totally scripted moment too, by the way. You know, that's not improv. We don't improv on the show. Everything's scripted, but they know these characters in this world so completely that they can write just little physical things for you.
And it's not just the main characters; it's every single character that it's like the writers have clearly spent the time to go over the details. Yeah, and that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, it really is. It's so much fun.
So season 4, when people check it out on Sunday, what are the big things to think about? What do you want people to walk away thinking this season?
I want people to be exhausted at the end of this season, and I want them to want more, of course. But I don't know. It's hard to talk about that without giving anything away. But it is definitely a season about odd alliances, strange new bedfellows, revenge. Who's taking revenge on who at what given time, and what is the what is the way in which they try to get that revenge. It's going to be really entertaining to see.
Well, if you're doing your thing out there as Dollar Bill, I think we'll be in for a good time.
Maybe I can smash another car. Maybe I get that right now.
That would be great.
Perhaps the most cathartic moment of my life when I got to do that.
And you got to do it multiple times too.
The stunt person did it on the first one that was about a 50-yard, and that was crazy. And then I got to,
like Kelly, you do your thing.
Yeah, I got to do that. I got to smash that car, a Porsche, with a minivan, like 25 times.
I mean, this show has to be the most fun you've had in your career, right? Like, there's just like, you've done cool stuff, but like, come on, this is ridiculous.
It's fun to play the asshole too.
Kelly, it's been an absolute pleasure.
It's really fun.
Thank you very much. You can catch Billy in season 4 Sunday on Showtime. We'll see you next time here on The Sit Down.
Thanks.